Pete Dye isn't simply one of the greatest golf course architects ever. He was a dear friend and mentor. I was fortunate enough to win the Heritage at Harbour Town 5 times. It's the golf course that launched Pete's career. A few years ago, Sea Pines honored Pete for his amazing contributions to the sport of golf. I gladly participated along with many of golf's all-time greatest players and others who knew Pete, worked with Pete, and loved Pete. Sadly, not long after producing the following film tribute, Alice Dye passed away. Less than a year later, we lost Pete. Their impact and imprint on the sport, however, will never fade away.
There's no one quite like Pete Dye.
He is humble yet proud.
Kind of an all-shucks kind of guy.
He's the most unpretentious, famous person I've ever been around.
I've never heard any bad word about Pete Dye unless they were talking about his golf courses being too difficult.
Pete loved the game of golf. You could tell he was dedicated to making the game better and to bringing his own philosophy of how golf ought to be played to the golf courses he built.
He played the game well, loved the game, married a woman that was extremely successful in the game of golf, and they teamed up to become golf course architects that made a great impression to the golfing world.
They are a team. He really does depend on her, and she really does know golf.
Alice was an accomplished player, winning some USGA events.
She lives, breathes the game. She is passionate about the game. She's been a person who can guide Pete in the right direction.
Mom and Dad were a great partnership. If you asked Dad, you know, how you doing, Pete? He would always say, still pushing dirt. When Mother would come look at things, it was strictly from a golf purist and saying, why didn't you do it this way? You know, and Dad would look up and say, well, you're right.
Most golf architects today are engineers, landscape people. They have drawings, and they pretty much stick to the drawings. And Pete is exactly opposite.
Pete always said, if you show me a golf course that was built by a set of plans, he said, I'll show you a bad golf course.
Pete is a true artist. He doesn't draw something on paper and hand it to somebody and let them go build it. He draws a circle for the green and a square for the tee where he wants it.
And that's the first and only time pencil hits paper. And darned if you don't get the most beautiful thing beyond what you've imagined.
And that is Pete Dye. He builds the golf course from the ground up. When you break ground is when Pete's genius comes out.
He's a dozer head. He gets on his dozer, he goes out and he shapes the golf course.
He's painting not by numbers, he's painting by feel.
He's hands-on. He gets in the dozer and pushes the dirt and visualizes it.
He loved being on the ground. In fact, that's where he's probably the happiest.
He was bold. Pete was always way out in front of the industry, way out.
Pete Dye came up with the concept of stadium golf.
He created the ease of the spectator to enjoy themselves watching golf.
The stadium course at Sawgrass really has changed professional golf. I don't think there is a green more iconic than the 17th at TPC.
Originally, Dad was going to build a green on the far side of the lake, and that's when Mother looked at Dad and said, why don't you build an island green out here? Can't you see some poor kid coming to the tee and running out of golf balls before they make it to the 18th tee?
Same club, that's a 9-iron again. Wait a minute.
Pete designed the 17th to mess with your head. Simple as that. And it's not a hard shot, quite honestly. It's a big surface area you're hitting to.
But that one week, when there's money on the line, when there's prestige on the line.
I don't care who you are. There's a little bit of anxiety. There's a ratcheting up of the nerves when you step on that tee.
They start thinking about this golf hole as they're coming down 14, 15, 16.
And time they get here, they make the funniest swings you've ever seen a golf professional make. And they start missing the green.
Did I hit it in the water there? Absolutely hit it in the water there. Did I hit it in the water there a lot? No, but once is enough.
Well, I wasn't trying to beat the field. I was trying to beat Pete Dye, and Pete Dye will go for a swim today.
When you play a Pete Dye golf course, you're not playing the ordinary.
Pete Dye courses are visually intimidating. They're visually intimidating off the tee, visually intimidating from the middle of the fairway, visually intimidating on the green.
That's the genius to Pete's design. He makes things visually more challenging than they actually are.
What Pete will do is he'll build things to distract you or to intimidate you or to trick you. He's making you think around his golf courses. He's making you play shots to set up the next shot.
Pete designs his golf courses for you to use all 14 clubs in your bag.
They provide plenty of challenge for a tour player, but at the same time, your weekend golfer or monthly golfer, they can still go play. It's not going to be easy by any means, but they can still go play on the same course that we do.
Without a doubt, Pete Dye is the greatest architect.
See, I can see the fairway now.
No one has forwarded the game from an architectural perspective more than Pete Dye.
There's no question you put him up there in the list of the greats.
Come on, we're going this way.
If there's a Mount Rushmore of golf course architects, he's definitely on there. There's no question.
I would hope that Pete and Alice both understand that we love them both for what they've been able to do and how they've done it with class.
I think that history will look very favorably on Pete Dye. He was innovative, he was creative, he changed the game forever.
You know, having great parents, you never lose them. They're always in your heart. Just be thankful we now have a new guardian angel, and I tell people he's probably up there right now building a golf course that both God and Jesus have to play, so expect a lot of thunder and lightning real soon.
Golf has brought me great personal joy, a long career of playing the sport all over the world, and an equally satisfying career designing golf courses. But it's the people who really make the most impact on our game. People like Pete Dye, whose contributions to golf are immeasurable. He was as rare as winning golf's Grand Slam, and for all of us who are lucky enough to know him or play around on one of his legendary courses, he is missed. He is truly missed.